So, just going to be upfront, this video is going to be a bit less scripted than usual Sunday videos are, just because time constraints, and I couldn't get a script that really flowed well or got across the points I wanted to in as verbose a way, properly describing everything and all that, as I would have liked. So I reached one of those weird points where I have an exact outline, but I'm just going to wing it for the details, because if I can't think of it in writing, then I have infinite takes to try it in speech anyway. But yes, this is going to be the case for KOS MOS in Smash. Now, it's been quite a long time since I've discussed the idea of a new Xeno character coming to Smash, and while the last video I did was also about KOS MOS, it was months before I'd actually finished the Xenosaga series, and partially in response to a fake leak going around. So all that video was just one idea for her reveal trailer. This is going to be more of a combination of my The Case for Malos in Smash video, if you remember that one, where I discussed why I think he might merit inclusion over a different character from Xenoblade 2, and my other videos where I went over 2 possible movesets for Rex and 1 for Elma. Since the last KOS MOS Smash video, not only have I finished Xenosaga, but several more DLC fighters have been announced and released, and my opinions on who I want have actually changed to the point where KOS MOS is my most wanted Xeno character now. In this video, I will not be going over every single move and constructing a hypothetical moveset for her, largely because she has a lot of different options and does so many different things and has so many different movesets across her 3 playable appearances and crossovers, where you could easily make multiple reasonable movesets out of her, so I couldn't really choose. But regardless, this video will be split up into 2 parts. One where I just talk about why she should be in and why she is actually my most wanted Xeno character, and then a more general thing of what would she be like in Smash, which does include moveset. So first of all, why do I want KOS MOS to be a playable fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? KOS MOS would not just be a representative of one Xeno game. She could be representative of Xeno as a whole. Now, that's the thing. I see a lot of people who, after Future Connected, because that's technically a new game, they want Melia in Smash now. Which, sure, I like Melia quite a lot. But that doesn't mean I want Melia to join Smash, because Xenoblade 1 is the only Xenoblade game, and indeed the only Xeno game in general, to have a playable representative. And yeah, I like Melia. You could make an interesting fighter concept out of her, I'm sure, but I don't want to see a second Xenoblade 1 character before any of the other games, which take place in different universes with different casts, gets acknowledged. So Melia in Smash, I would potentially be down for, but not until we got a Rex, an Elma, a KOS MOS, a Xion if you really want to throw a curveball, or even a Faye. Now, yeah, there is a certain subset of Xenoblade 1 fan who likes to ignore the existence of the series prior to and following that game, but Nintendo does not think that way. Xenoblade is called Xenoblade because they wanted to honor the legacy of Gears and Saga, and, you know, Sakurai doesn't think that way because we got X and 2 spirits in Ultimate, even if a character from that wasn't playable. To put things into perspective, let's use Fire Emblem as an example, because that's one series that everyone can agree on the Smash representation of. First, I'm going to be ignoring echoes for this argument, so whether or not Chrom and Lucina exist is kind of arbitrary, but just keep that in mind. Then second, we will just delete Corrin. I know a lot of people want to do that, but Fates still exists as a new Fire Emblem title. Corrin in Smash does not. Then we will push up Three Houses' release date a bit so that it's in the same boat as Xenoblade 2 and ARMS. Say, for argument's sake, Sakurai liked Three Houses, would have liked to include a character from it in the base game of Ultimate, but the project plan of Ultimate was finalized too soon to do that. Then, Fire Emblem is in the exact same boat that Xenoblade is now. One game, the most recent game before Smash 4, got a representative. Then, it had a game that came out roughly around the time Smash 4 was going through DLC. And then, it had one game come out where a character just barely missed the window for getting into the base game of Ultimate, so people think that one would be pretty likely for DLC. Okay, so then Challenger Pack 1 happens. But the 5th character in it is not Byleth, it is Tiki, or just some other character from Awakening with a unique moveset. That's what it would be like to put another Xenoblade 1 character in. I think you can see why that would rub fans a pretty wrong way, especially because Three Houses also sold more than Awakening did. Now, the gap is way bigger than the one in between Xenoblade 2 and 1, and DE might have closed that, but still. So, there's that, but why do I want KOS MOS over someone from 2, someone from X, or even Gears? Well, it's mainly series and overall representation. KOS MOS is not just a representative of Xenosaga, she is a representative of the wider scope of Xeno as a whole. Now, wouldn't Faye also work for that too? Well, yes, but also I feel like his moveset would be a bit too close to Ryu with more energy attacks, so I don't know if he'd be original enough to be considered. And second off, as much as I like Xenogears and as much as I like Faye, I just straight up do not trust Square Enix to properly represent a series they've been ignoring for the better part of 2 decades in Smash when we still have 2 Final Fantasy songs. But still, why KOS MOS? She isn't even the main character of Xenosaga, and she's not my favorite character in the series or saga. Why am I so intent on her? Well, for starters, she would be the second Bandai Namco rep, while Faye would be the third from Square, and any other Xenoblade character would be from Nintendo. I feel like, especially with the amount of work they did on Brawl and Smash 4, that Bamco really should have gotten another character slot by now, so it is kind of weird. Also, as an aside, she would technically be both a Bandai Namco and a Monolith Soft character. Obviously, Monolith Soft is owned by Nintendo, so anything from their Nintendo-published IPs would count as first party, but I feel like Nintendo almost owes Monolith another character slot in Smash after how much they have hard-carried the Switch so far. Like, they hard-carried 2017 with basically every major release that wasn't ARMS or Odyssey, and they hard-carried 2020 just on the virtue of Animal Crossing New Horizons and Xenoblade Definitive Edition being the only major titles for the first half of the year. And then, there's also the fact that KOS MOS is a prolific crosser-over. Basically since the beginning, if Bandai Namco is crossing their characters over with something else, she would be there. She even crossed over with Super Robot Wars characters, so yeah. In addition, she has actually met several other Smash characters through crossovers before. She's met Shulk in Xenoblade 2, and through the Project Cross Zone series, Chrom and Lucina, Ryu and Ken, and Mega Man, albeit X and Zero and not Classic, but I don't know, they're in the final Smash. She's not even limited to physically showing up. She's got costumes based on her in a few games, and the Tails series makes a point of having an enemy that rips off her X-Buster attack. So yeah, it's almost a natural fit for someone with such a knack of finding her way into crossover games to find her way into arguably the biggest one of them all. And then there's the fact that not only would she be representing Xenosaga as a brand new series, but also be more representative of Xeno as a whole. And that's because she has the unique advantage of being from multiple Xeno series. She's from Xenosaga, where she's a major character, but she's also a rare blade in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. People who played 2, presuming they actually pulled her with a ridiculous gacha rate, would still recognize this character, even if they don't really know much about her from the game she's originally from. Now, this is just anecdotal evidence, but even Xenoblade fans, even people who started with 2 and don't really know about Xenosaga, or only know that KOS MOS is from another game but is also in this one, they still seem to like her, they seem to think she's interesting. The fact that she's this elusive rare character and a very good blade before the DLC power creep doesn't hurt either, but I think that just her being interesting is a thing that transcends series. So, well, plenty of Xenoblade 2 fans would obviously be mad if KOS MOS got in instead of an actual character originating from 2. I think that some more of them would be appeased at the fact that, oh, this character, sure, is representing an old dead series that I'll probably never play, but is also someone I do recognize from a game I do like and did want a character from. Then there's also the fact that just as a character, KOS MOS represents a lot of different aspects of Xeno that just aren't present in Shulk and wouldn't be present as obviously in several other characters. First off, she is a robot, and that is a big deal. A lot of Xeno games involve robots and what actually makes one human and how human can one become and all that sort of thing. That's a major character arc for KOS MOS, and, well, I mean, Shulk is obviously not that. Then there's also the cool, powerful female character who has a lot of agency and does a lot of stuff, even though this one is literally a programmed machine. Another thing to add is she would be another female character, and while Elma would hit those notes just as well, still, it's worth talking about. In addition to that, she's also a bit more blatantly tied to the religious and psychological themes that are present in the series, and has a much more blatant connection to the Zohar, the monolith, the most iconic thing from Xeno as a whole, to the point where I think the Xeno Saga series emblem in Smash should be an outline of the Zohar or something to the like, than Shulk or several other characters do. Now, obviously, the Zohar thing, Pyra and Mythra literally have it on their chests, but another thing worth mentioning is, for the version of KOS MOS I want to bring into Smash, you would not need to alter her nearly as much as you would need to Pyra or Mythra. Rex with Blades, Laura and Jin, Elma, and probably even Faye could definitely have interesting movesets, and that is what seems to be ultimately what makes Sakurai and probably Nintendo as well choose a fighter, but KOS MOS would have a pretty cool moveset too, and in terms of representing the series as well as possible within one character, I can't really think of a better person for the job, even if it's an android. She is a symbol of Xeno. To go for another bit more strained analogy, let's just pretend that all of DC Comics stopped. We'll just say for 10 years, since that's about as long as it's been since the end of Xeno Saga. And that means not just no comics, no TV, no movies, no media related to that whatsoever. Then, eventually, due to either popular demand or some market analysis saying, no wait, we could make a lot of money off of this, they decide to bring that back. Now, what would you start with? What would be the first title that you decide to publish? Would it be something related to whatever was selling the best or was the most critically received before everything stopped 10 years ago? Would it be Batman because I think he's the most popular or the best selling now? I mean, I don't know what comic industry executives would choose, but if I were to do that, if I were in that situation, I would bring back Superman first. Not necessarily because he's the most people's favorite or he would sell the best, but because he is representative of superheroes as a whole, even with the changing times, even with how things are different and how he doesn't really fit the mold of what people want out of a superhero or a character they want to follow anymore, just because he is that emblematic of the genre and of the company as a whole. KOS MOS is not my favorite Xeno character. She's not my favorite Xeno Saga character, but if all of Xeno were to go away for a long time, and then whoever still had the rights to all of them even throw Gears in there, if I were to be in charge of announcing the comeback of Xeno, be it with a game, with an anime, with anything, I would still put KOS MOS first. There's a reason she is the one who is front and center on Monolith Soft's anniversary artwork. So let's say we've cleared all those hurdles, gotten past all those barriers, and KOS MOS is going to be added to Smash. What would she be like? Well, first off, I'm going to just go into miscellaneous stuff that's her, but not directly how she plays in a fight. In terms of design, this is the big deal. I would go with something based on her version 1 design, but specifically based on KOS MOS Refrain from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. This is how we show to people that she is a Xeno character before she is a Xeno Saga character. She'll be a Xeno Saga character according to the game, she'll have the little Zohar emblem next to her, but she will be based on her appearance in a Xeno game in a different series. This might also alleviate the annoyance of Xenoblade 2 fans because they would see, no, they used the design from our game. They wanted to add a character from this series that I like and I wanted a new person from. They just happened to choose from a game that either I didn't realize was part of the series or didn't quite realize the influence of. Also, there's the fact that version 1 is easily the most tame KOS MOS design out there, and while 4 might be a bit more iconic, I feel like 1 would be the one where you would only need to change her to the degree that female Byleth and Corrin have been changed, as opposed to what would need to be done to Mithra to get her in, or, you know, the version of KOS MOS that opens her shirt to shoot her massive death beam instead of opening her stomach. In terms of alts, this is actually fairly easy. Like Xenoblade 1, the Xenosaga series has 7 main party members, so like Shulk, KOS MOS could just literally have 6 of her 7 alts based on the other 6 characters. The 8th would obviously have to be Telos in that case, her counterpart from Xenosaga 3, who is also a cameo blade in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The issue that arises there would be, okay, but if you have a Telos alt, why not just make one of the alts actually Telos as a different character? Well, that seems a little ambitious for even a DLC character. Like, yeah, the Minecraft characters have 4 different characters, but they're Minecraft characters. Sakurai directly said, no, animators, you can take a break on this one's hard for the programmers. So, yeah. There's also the other option of pulling an Alf and making half of the alts KOS MOS and the other half Telos, but then what characters do you choose? I guess the KOS MOS alts would be party members and the Telos alts would be villains, and obviously you would want Shion and Junior, the actual 2 major characters in the series, to be 2 of KOS MOS's, and one of Telos's obviously has to be Albedo, but then what do you do with the rest? And then there's also the fact that Xenosaga also has swimsuits. What if you just make one of the alts a swimsuit? So then KOS MOS's would be Junior, Shion, swimsuit, and Telos's would be Albedo and some other villain. I'm not really sure what you do with that, but some alts based on Xenosaga party members, at least one based on Telos, maybe a swimsuit, there you go. As for a stage, Xenosaga is a spacefaring franchise, and we don't really have a lot of stages that are super representative of space. Metroid, most of them take place indoors, and Star Fox, most of them are just on ships, and one of them is in the atmosphere of a planet and isn't even in space. So what do we do about that? Well, the thing is, a lot of the iconic locations in Xenosaga are ships, flying around in space. So that's kind of an issue because we might get a very Star Foxy stage. But I came up with the idea of Renlu Chateau from Xenosaga Episode 3, because this is a thing in space, but it is not a planet, and it is not a ship. It is literally just an Omega form stage already there. It's just a mysterious circular chunk of land that looks like it was lifted out of a planet at random. It has an atmosphere, it has gravity, and it's just flying there in space when it's discovered in Xenosaga 3. So, in terms of a stage, it wouldn't be particularly interesting, but it would have the advantage of being in space, and a lot of iconic things from Xenosaga, like the ES's, the Elsa, the Durandal, and Abel's Arc, could go flying by in the background, and you could see a whole bunch of things. If you had to shove KOS MOS in as a Xenoblade character, then probably something from Xenoblade 2 would be the best bet, either flying around on Azurda's back throughout the different Titans, or just something representative of the World Tree, without spoiling too much of 2. In terms of music, the Xenosaga series has a great soundtrack, and I would hope that they'd have a large selection of songs, even if not too many even need to be arranged at all. But if you make KOS MOS a Xenoblade character, then unfortunately you're kind of limited to just Xenoblade songs, and obviously you need to add more from 2, probably including a remix, and I would also hope that X songs are added. My dream would be a very large song selection, not quite Terry Bogard level, but still pretty large, of tracks, mostly from Xenosaga. Most of the remixes are from Xenosaga, but then also including a couple tracks from Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade X that could just go on Gower Plain, even if KOS MOS isn't actually part of the Xenoblade franchise and you're stuck to the Xenosaga songs on the Xenosaga stage. For spirits, there's not really much to say, just chuck a bunch of Xenosaga characters onto the spirit board and you're good. Again, if she has to be a Xenoblade representative, add a couple more X characters in addition to some of the rare blades and villains from 2, and you're basically golden. And so we get to KOS MOS's moveset. what are you gonna do for this? Now, the issue I ran into is, she could definitely have an interesting moveset, but I don't know if I could think of a way to give her a specific gimmick like it seems every DLC character is going to. Remember, she might look like she does in Xenoblade, but we're basing her off of Xenosaga, where she has a lot more moveset potential, a lot more different attacks, and isn't forced to consolidate all the things that make her interesting into one predetermined weapon class that's determined by Xenoblade 2 and not by herself. So, the issue that arises is, she might basically just be Byleth with even more weapons. KOS MOS is an android, which would make her a bit heavier than she appears, so she would be a relatively small heavyweight, which might be a bit unbalanced, but as long as she doesn't get the strength usually associated with a heavyweight, I guess that would be okay. The only thing that arises from that is the fact that she's shown in cutscenes to be extremely fast and agile, so there might be a bit of dissonance from how she plays in Smash to, you know, how she actually appears, but as long as she's got average attack power and slightly above average movement speed while being heavy, or at least heavy in the air, maybe that's a compromise. Make her fast on the ground, but slow, heavy in the air, if not bad at jumping. This is another major issue. KOS MOS is very overpowered for much of her own series, so we're going to have to nerf her a lot just to put her in Smash and not make her broken there too. She's made of malleable nanomachines and connected to a sort of material internet that permeates the universe, so not only is she able to turn parts of her body into weapons to fight with, she can also summon bigger ones into her hand. So that might actually be a good gimmick. She's an item summoning character, and depending on maybe hold down neutral B and input a direction, and she will summon a different heavier weapon that she can't just form with her own body. You can use that, but you can also get it knocked out of your hands and have it used against you. Stuff like this has been used already, but I don't know, maybe it would be interesting. A lot of her things would be little blades, but she can also turn her arm into some sort of rifle and shoot energy blasts, so she would not just be a swordswoman. And then she can also summon a lot bigger weapons into her hand, one of them being a scythe, so you could even just reskin Death's Scythe and have that show up. And, of course, her trademark Gatling gun. Thing with that is, I might want to take one more piece of inspiration from Xenoblade 2 as opposed to Xenosaga, and give her the golden Zohar-shaped guns that she has there, instead of her normal, fairly typical, but KOS MOS color scheme guns that she has in Saga itself, although you would obviously need to modify the Zohar gun to have multiple barrels instead of just the one, like all the ether cannons in Xenoblade 2 have. The ferocity of her attacks would determine which weapons she summons. For her tilts and stuff, then that would obviously just be normal physical blows or small blades made on her arms. For smashes, that could be bigger weapons like longer arm blades, multiple arm blades, or even a hammer or something. She is also capable of using fire attacks in Xenosaga 3, so that could be some of her smashes. Then for her specials, it would either be summoning a weapon as an item to do things with, or just doing powerful moves with those weapons. Again, big gun, she can get a scythe, she has a chain-based weapon, and one of her attacks could also just be the Hilbert effect, which, while in Xenosaga it's a non-damaging thing that just allows certain types of enemies to be hit, Xenoblade 2 already turned it into a sort of damage aura, so you could use this as some sort of big AoE attack. The good thing is, the battle system changes in every single Xenosaga game, so there's no shortage of animations you could pull from, and I'm already seeing certain things like, oh yeah, that would definitely work as a tilt, that would definitely be a jab, W Fang is very clearly her forward smash, and stuff like that. As for her final smash, there are two options. One is go with her signature move, the X-Buster, where she shoots a massive amount of energy in a cone out of her chest. There are little tendrils that attack enemies and do damage and all that sort of stuff. It's very iconic. She uses it to wipe out a massive fleet of aliens the first time it shows up. It's really cool. It's homaged a lot, including in Xenoblade 1 for a certain character's art, and it's just very KOS MOS. The other option would be basically what everyone wants Elma's final smash to be, which would be hopping in a mech, in her case the ES Dina, and just doing something with it to cause a lot of damage. I don't know. I mean, the one big Xeno thing that's not represented in KOS MOS as is Mecha, which is an integral part of the series, but at the same time, I think X-Buster is more iconic as a KOS MOS thing, than as a mech thing. She's even one of the 2 characters who can't use a mech in episode 1, so I personally would go on the side of X-Buster. Her taunts and things could just pull from various different appearances. One thing at least has to reference the running gag that she's a cat girl that's kind of followed her ever since her first spin-off outing, but the one thing that definitely needs to happen is one of her victory lines has to be, external appearance decreased by 5%, I need to be cleaned, because that's just really funny. They homaged it in Xenoblade 2, but the people who translated Xenoblade 2 definitely didn't play Xenosaga because, well, first off, they pronounced KOS MOS's name KOS MOS, which, I mean, it's correct if you're trying to pronounce the word cosmos, as in space, in a British accent. That's fair. But it's KOS MOS. She's specifically named the Greek word for order, not the word in English for space that derived from that. So it's KOS MOS is the correct pronunciation. That's how they pronounce it in Japanese. Yeah. Basically, tangent aside, they got that line wrong. It's not phrased the same way as it is in Xenosaga, so it took me a bit to even pick up that it was referencing that. But hopefully, for Ultimate, even though they're using the refrain design, they would at least endeavor to get back KOS MOS's voice actress from Xenosaga 1 and 3, which is my personal favorite portrayal of the character. But yeah, KOS MOS for Smash, please. That's all I can think of. I think that's the end of the video. And since it is the end, thank you so much for watching as always. If you liked it, subscribe. I talk about Xeno content. I talk about Xeno games, not Xeno content. I make Xeno content about Xeno games. It's good. I like Xeno. I talk about everything in the series. Theories, analyses, all sorts of stuff. Just pointing out cool and interesting factoids. I do it all. So stick around if you like this video. If you only are here for Smash speculation, then, I mean, you're probably not going to find too much unless you're also a Xeno fan. But if you want to watch videos about games you didn't really know about or didn't think you'd like, well, my channel trailer is a guide to getting into the Xeno series, so there you go. That's where to start. But anyway, as always, until next time, this is Luxon, signing off. Good lord, it's 4:10 in the morning. I need to go to bed.